Alright, to understand what netmaxxing is, you need to understand what net is. When I'm talking about net, I'm talking about the total monetary value dealt minus the total monetary value taken during a war. This consists of mainly, but not exclusively, infra costs, unit costs, and consumption. The idea of netmaxxing then is to try to get your net as positive as possible over the course of an alliance war. However, there's a catch. Beiging your opponent is a great way of dealing damage and thus increasing your net. However, the number one priority isn't to deal damage, it's to win the war. So please, when the war has just begun and everyone's fully militarized, listen to your military affairs, and if they tell you don't beige your wars, then please don't. I don't really have the time to go into depth why, just know that netmaxxing is only viable in wars where the outcome is already decided. Alright, there's multiple ways to see your net, but I'm just gonna quickly go over the easiest way, in my opinion, and that's just using one of the two websites that are publicly available online. One of those being CTOwned, CTO net. Yeah, that one. I can't speak. We all can't speak. Anyway, CTOwned is basically a website where you can see all the stats from recent wars that happened in politics and war. You can sort them by start date, all of that good stuff. But what you really want to do is you want to click on the name of the war that you're looking for. So let's click on this one. And then let's say I'm looking for what my net was this war. This war already ended, so no more changes. You go to nation leaderboard. And then you can type in your leader name. And you will see there Marrow 1.1 bill net. The other website is Locoded, which is basically the same as CTOwned, except it looks a little bit more messy in my opinion. Basically you can just go to the same war I just went to, go to nations, and you can just type in your leader name again, and there you go. There's almost the same net. There's going to be a slight discrepancy, but the margin of error is very small. Shout out to the people keeping these websites running, by the way. Pretty neat. Alright, now that I've gone over the basics of netmaxxing and what it is, it's time to get into how you can efficiently netmax in alliance wars. Now there's two different outcomes of alliance wars. Each outcome has a different way of netmaxing. So I'm gonna go over them separately. Starting off with if you're on the winning side of an alliance war, you will usually have a pretty good net already at the end of the militarized phase, because the enemy will have lost all their military. Your side will have lost a small part of their military. The enemy will also lose all their infrastructure, basically guaranteed, whereas your side will only lose a little bit at first. So you should have a very positive net after the first few rounds. However, you can't really control it, and you shouldn't really be focusing on it at that point, like I said before. But luckily there is a very lucrative way of increasing your net after these first few rounds. Just a quick disclaimer, if your alliance has a better bot than Autolycus, then by all means use that to beige snipe. I'm just going with Autolycus in this example because it is in my opinion the best publicly available bot you can use to beige snipe. Okay, so really quick, beige sniping basically is waiting for a nation to get off the beige color so they can be attacked again during an alliance war, and you just loot their nation while their military is zeroed because they're losing the war. Alright, I'm basically gonna walk you through how to use Autolycus to beige snipe in a winning war. So, you wanna add Autolycus to a Discord server. It's publicly available. You can easily find it on Google. I will put the link in the description along with a bunch of other links. You want to register with Autolycus, and then you want to type /raids, and then you'll get a prompt with a bunch of options to select. Now what you want to do is select the options I have on screen right here. The cool thing is that if you want to use it again, it will ask you if you want to use the same settings as last time, meaning you only have to go through this once. Anyway, once you've gone through this, it will give you a prompt again, and you can go to this link that it gives you, and it will send you to a spreadsheet with all the nations in the game that have recently been bashed. So what you want to do is you want to sort by alliance and look for alliances you're at war with. So let's say I'm at war with Event Horizon at the moment, and I can go to Event Horizon right here, and then it will send you all the Event Horizon nations. Now what you want to look for is a nation that has dropped a decent amount of loot. You can also look if someone has been silly and has rebuilt a bunch of military, so you can zero them again and get a bunch of net. All you then need to do is click set reminder, and it will send you a Discord message 15 minutes before the nation is about to go off bash, or if the nation has gone off bash by themselves. It will also send you a Discord message a few minutes after the fact if the bot is working properly. Then you want to wait around to like a minute before turn change. And then you want to open up the declare war screen. You want to select a raid war, the war reason and all that doesn't matter. You can fill in, verify the captcha, and then you want to wait until 30 seconds after turn change. So you want to have this open. What you can do is you can go to a website that has the time linked. I like time.is is the one I personally use, where you can see right here exact time. So what you can then do is wait for it to be 30 seconds past the hour, and then the moment it hits that, you can click the declare war button. The reason you do this is because big loot targets and militarized targets are heavily contested, as in there will be multiple people bash sniping, all trying to do this and to get in on this war, but there's only 3 slots. Okay, so if you manage to get into one of these wars against a zeroed enemy, what I recommend you do is you start off with doing a one-ship naval battle in order to get a blockade on the nation that you are attacking. What this does is it means they can't deposit their resources well as long as you're at war with them, or if they don't break the blockade. You want to only use one ship, as that saves you on consumption usage, and you only need one ship to get a naval blockade if they have 0. After that, what I recommend you do is do a ground battle to see a full ground battle with tanks and soldiers to see if they're dropping cash. Base your next actions off of that. If they're dropping cash and they have no units at all, I would recommend to keep doing full ground battles. If they are not dropping cash and they have no units, then I would say only use soldiers and no tanks in your ground battle, as tanks use a lot more consumption for no extra money gain if they're not dropping loot. If they're not dropping loot and they have soldiers, I would actually recommend doing one-ship navals. This is a bit controversial perhaps, but soldier spam is more effective defensively than offensively. But that's really advanced and has to do with consumption usage. I can't really go into super depth right now. Alright, for this last part of this segment, I'm going to give you a few things that you should never do in a winning war if you're netmaxing. Starting off with airstriking soldiers. Airstriking soldiers is actually a thing that happens quite a lot, and it's an absolutely terrible way of increasing your stats, because it doesn't actually really increase the stats that matter. Airstriking soldiers will make you lose more value in terms of consumption than it will deal damage in terms of soldier losses to the enemy. Next is going inactive with no ships. What I'm saying here is, you know you're gonna be busy for a few days or something, or you can only log in once in one every 3 days. What you then should do is at least have a bunch of ships up. You shouldn't be inactive with no ships, because what it opens you up to is if someone is nuke turreting and they notice, hey, this guy is not responding to my attacks, hey, he has no ships, and you can just save up maps to 12 and get a bunch of resistance down on you with naval battling to get a badge off on you, and that's kind of disastrous in a winning war. Another thing is using munitions on soldiers when you don't need to. What I mean by this is, if the enemy has no units at all, munitions increase the damage dealt, they don't increase the loot taken. So you can actually just straight up use no munitions on soldiers against enemies that have no units, and what it will do is it will save you munitions for the cost of nothing. Alright guys, that was it for the first part of this guide. I will hopefully make a part 2 if anyone is interested. If not, it might not ever come out. It will basically go over losing wars and how to deal with those. Though they're a lot more complex than winning wars, and I'm not even super comfortable making a guide on it, though I think I know more than most people about that subject too. So honestly, I'll see how it goes and if I have the motivation to make one.